Williams is the host of Dolly Vision on YouTube. Check it out, folks. He travels around the country covering all types of cases like this.
What up, my beautiful people of YouTube? How is everyone doing this afternoon? If you're just tuning in already, we got a couple hundred of you in the chat room. Do me a quick solid. Thumb up this video. It's absolutely free this week. I'm giving them away. You can thumb it up as many times as you want. I am absolutely generous today. So make sure y'all take a second, pow, and hit it, okay? That way they share this face, what nightmares are made of, all around the YouTube streets, okay? All around the YouTube streets. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about Karen Read. I've seen people in the chat asking, who the hell is Karen Read? Okay, Karen Read is a lady who allegedly backed over her boyfriend that was a Boston police officer, John O'Keefe. Now, there has been a break a little bit in the favor of Karen Read. Now, there has been, rumors of this federal investigation going on and things of that nature. We hear a lot of people that simp for Karen Read or believe that Karen Read is innocent. Let me say that, right? Because there's a lot of people, believe it or not, a lot of people believe she is absolutely innocent. Now, me and PJ, we kind of been on the fence. We go back and forth with it, you know, bouncing back and forth. Sometimes I'm like, they're guilty. She's like, look, they're innocent. It's a conspiracy. I'm like, they're guilty. She's like, they're innocent. And then sometimes I'm thinking, okay, maybe there is a little bit of something bad investigation into it. But me, myself, I do believe it was a little bit of a botched investigation. I do not really believe that they're going to convict Karen Reed. I don't. I think they overcharged her, right? I think they would have had a hard enough time with just manslaughter because it could have been an accident. There's no way to tell if she purposely did it or if she accidentally did it or if she even did it. Okay. That is the weird thing. So I don't really think they're going to do much to Karen Reed. And Karen Reed has a really good attorney. I mean, he's on his shit, right? He's with it. He's a really good attorney. I think Karen Reed is going to end up walking from all of this. I really do. I believe that. Now, the dude that's out here making her look so bad, and this is one of the reasons I really could not get behind Karen Reed. It made her look guilty. Is the actions of Turtle Boy. Okay, Turtle Boy made this lady look super guilty, even more guilty than she was, harassing these people and making it out to be like the police have killed this man. Because I truly don't believe that happened. John O'Keefe could have just as simply slipped on some ice, fell, hit his head, that broken glass cut him up or something like that. I don't know. But to throw out this wild conspiracy that the police did it and all these things, I don't believe. I do believe the chances are Karen Reed probably did back into John O'Keefe. But there's really no way, like I said, to prove that. And in the court and with this federal investigation going on, they probably will find some wrongdoing in the police. Now, I ain't going to go as far as say with all these conspiracy people that they planted tail light pieces or they did this or this. I don't believe it's that. I just don't believe they did exactly what they would have done if it was me or you that had backed over somebody or there was a dead body in my front yard. If there was a dead body in my front yard, you can believe the police are coming in my house. And this is what a lot of these conspiracy people argue, that they got treated differently because they were police officers. How did we know there wasn't a crime scene in the house? Well, you would think, with it being police officers that are serving to protect, that you could take their word that nothing happened in the house. And I think the family of John O'Keefe I don't think they appreciate the free Karen Reed signs too much, because you don't hear John O'Keefe's family out here saying Karen Reed didn't do it. It's just a lot of other people. Like Karen Reed, I believe when this is all said and done, will walk, okay? For a few different reasons. She has money. There's no real proof that she did it on purpose or accidentally. They've overcharged her. That's what I truly believe. And we're going to go into some of the stuff that Court TV. We're going to jump over and watch a little bit of Court TV today. My buddy Vinny, and see what Vinny and them have to say about this whole federal investigation. Now, I just know her lawyers came out and spoke yesterday saying, you know, that they confirmed that there is a federal investigation on the police and the prosecutor in this case. Now, look, they're being investigated. Now, they didn't say they did anything wrong yet. They're just saying it's an open investigation still. So let's jump over. Let me pull this screen up for you guys. Grab your popcorn. This is going to take a little bit. Well, let's do it.
Karen Reed and her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe, were bar hopping on a snowy night in Massachusetts. At the end of the night, they were invited to a house party at the home of a fellow officer in Canton, Massachusetts. When Karen and John arrived, Karen did not exit the car. John did. From that point forward, there are two very different versions of what happened. Prosecutors say Karen was mad at John and purposely struck him.
I seen that what you sent me, PJ, where she said that she told that person that she hit him. I'll get to that in a few minutes. I seen it. I looked at it on Twitter.
With her car and left him on the ground to die in the snow. But Karen and her defense team say John went to the party. Something terrible happened inside the house, and his body was placed outside, where he was found dead the next morning. Karen has been charged with murder, but claims she is the victim of a big cover-up by police. Prosecutors insist.
Y'all got no sound? No sound out there? Can y'all hear it? Or no? I seen somebody say no sound. Do y'all have no sound on the video? Let me know. Sounds great. I hear it fine. Okay. Okay. As long as y'all can hear the video I'm playing.
Karen Reed is a murderer, while she insists it was someone inside the house that night who was responsible for what happened to her boyfriend, John O'Keefe. And now another twist, a federal investigation into the way police handled this case. Tonight, we look at that federal investigation of the investigators and how it will impact this upcoming murder trial. And we'll look at the crucial piece of evidence that Karen Reed's supporters say proves her innocence as we investigate the death of Boston police officer John O'Keefe.
Stop stuffing sopping wet bags of ice into your cooler. I've got a brand new fridge on wheels that keeps your food ice cold.
I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. This story, unlike any we have covered in many, many years. I want to start tonight, though, talking about a case that we didn't cover here on Court TV because it happened back in the 1920s. The case of Sacco and Vanzetti, two guys who claimed that we were framed for murder. These two guys.
Okay, let me ask you this real quick before we get going into this. If you believe Karen Reed has been framed for the murder of John O'Keefe, press 1. If you think Karen Reed is guilty, press 2. Okay, framed 1, guilty 2. Let me see where my people are at before we jump into this whole thing with Vinny. Okay. Okay. We got a little bit of a mixture. I see some people that believe that Karen Reed has been framed. Now, there's a lot of people in here that think she's guilty too. So I would say the room is 50-50 right now, probably. Or a little more leaning towards she's guilty. All right. Well, let's listen to a little bit of this.
Were accused of an armed robbery turned into a murder. They were tried in the courtroom. They were literally put in cages as the evidence was presented. But from the beginning, they claimed they were innocent and they were being framed for what happened. You see, they were very unpopular because of their political beliefs. And in the end, they were convicted. They were executed. But
okay, Vinny, I don't think that's off to a good start for Karen Reed. In the end, they were convicted and they were executed. Okay. I think he thinks Karen Reed is innocent, right? I don't think he thinks he's innocent, but I don't think she's going to be found guilty. I believe Vinny does believe there is some corruption going on. You know, I truly do.
50 years after that execution, the governor of Massachusetts made a proclamation saying these two were tried unfairly. They didn't get a fair shake inside of the courtroom where they were tried, and proclaimed them innocent men.
Hey, I can tell you every time I've been to court, I've been innocent and I didn't get a fair trial. Okay. That's me. I'm just throwing that out there.
And Vanzetti, an extremely famous and notorious case that divided the public. That trial was in Dedham, Massachusetts. Now, in the same courthouse, in the same courtroom, Karen Reed is saying, I was framed.
Well, look, we're going to stop it there right now. Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? Because the last people that were in there saying they were framed, they got executed. Okay, I don't know if I'd be saying the same thing. The last people got executed that said they were framed. I don't know. I don't think that's, but I honestly think they're going to, because Karen Reed, look, she has a lot of support on the outside, and she has money. She has a good attorney, right? Jan just gifted 5 memberships. Thank you, Jan. If you got a membership, make sure you thank her. That's super awesome of you. Big love, virtual hugs to you today. So, I mean, there's not like a lot of people screaming, put her in prison, right? There ain't a whole bunch of people out there screaming, Karen Reed's guilty, lock her up. You know, they ain't out in front of the courthouse screaming. But the majority of the people out in front of the courthouse are there wanting Karen Reed free. So I think they're going to end up letting this lady go, believe it or not. They're going to be like, well, we don't want to cause outrage and we don't really have any proof. And she's going to end up walking. Karen Reed is. Turtle Boy? Oh, you stick a fork in him. He is absolutely done. Okay. The dude that was running around doing all the simping for and doing all the crazy stuff and, you know, and threatening women and putting his hands and pushing his pregnant girlfriend and blackmailing women, and like he was doing revenge porn. I mean, it just keeps getting worse for that guy. Like, he's facing like so many charges. He might, like I said, Karen Reed is living her best life. This dude is in jail. Okay. These internet people, man, y'all gotta. That's one of the reasons I couldn't so much get behind Karen Reed completely, is because she has a ton of idiots, right? Just a ton of idiots that follow it. Like, you have Turtle Boy, you have Baby Gap, you have the dude that looks like damn Fred Durst wannabe. It's just like a bunch of clowns around it. So it's like, it cannot help her. And like, you see, she distanced herself from that. Like, you don't see her out there talking about free Turtle Boy, right? You don't see her people, like, she didn't, where was she at? She, like, as soon as he got locked up, she's like, I don't know that dude. And I don't blame her, because all he's been doing is making her look bad. It may have been helping her in the beginning a little bit, but because, you know, he drummed up a circus, but at some point it turned from being helping her to, I believe, just hurting her, right? Like, people looking at this like, oh man, these dudes are clowns. This lady is involved with these people. She must be a clown. That's how I always thought of it.
And this case, too, dividing the community in Massachusetts. And now that this thing has struck with people across the country through podcasts, through this program, through what has happened inside and outside of that courtroom, and the bloggers and everyone else involved in this, has divided the community around the country as to what really happened in this case. Now, when a criminal defendant claims that I was framed, you know me, I'm a former prosecutor. That's the filter that I analyze everything through. I take it with a huge grain of salt. But this case is a little different. There's something else going on here, literally going on. The FBI and the Department of Justice is investigating the investigators.
That ain't rare, okay? That ain't rare. Short Leg says, I believe Karen is guilty. I don't like all the picking on the cop stuff. They may be one bad one out of 1,000. I agree with you, Short Legs. You know, we support the police. We do know there is some bad police. We're hoping there ain't that many bad police in Boston, okay? If it is, then there is a real big problem, you know? But here's the saying. If you got one bad cop and you got 100 good cops that don't do nothing about that bad cop, now you got 101 bad cops. But I don't really believe that to be the case here in Boston. I just don't think, honestly, they have enough proof on Karen Reed. Not that the police killed John O'Keefe, or I don't believe any of that. I just believe there's not enough proof to convict Karen Reed with what they got. Okay. And even the taillight pieces, you know, maybe she broke the taillight pieces, and when she was out there, they fell off the car. That don't mean she hit nothing there at that location. If you have a broken taillight, the plastic could be sitting there cracked. Maybe she cracked the taillight, hit backing into the car. So you have these arguments. You have little things that can add a little bit of doubt to it. So I just think in the end of it all, Karen Reed is going to end up walking, and Turtle Boy is going to do 2 years in the penitentiary and a bunch of stuff on probation.
While this case is still pending, there's an investigation on how this case was handled by police. And you know, the entire case for the defense is that the police didn't handle this case. Police took evidence, moved it around, and framed and then covered up what really happened. Framed Karen Reed and then covered up the truth in all of this. That's what they're alleging. So
we don't
in this case, they're
know that's fact though yet, Vinny. We know they're investigating, but we don't know they covered anything up. We don't. It's all just allegedly. Like, is it going to make a big difference in the trial? You know, that these people are being investigated. I guess it got to help her, you know, because they can say, well, they did a shitty job. There could be somebody else. And, you know, this just goes into when you got these high dollar lawyers. Hey, it takes a lot of money to stay free, right? You got enough money, you can buy your freedom. And this is all this is. But with a good lawyer and like very little evidence, and there ain't a lot of evidence against her, to say she murdered him. Now, she might have if he was trying to sell the fact that she could have possibly accidentally hit him, I could say, yeah, man, she possibly could have done that. But to say she murdered this man, and like, you're not going to get a conviction on that. I just really, truly believe that. Now, all of her, like her buddy that's out there making her look bad, of course, they're going to be able to easily convict him. You know, everybody, his lawyer is horrible. He just goes out there and repeats what Turtle Boy says, and Turtle Boy is horrible. So the judge is done with that. You've seen it's been like, he just, the Prison Chronicles, right? The Prison Chronicles. You don't want to be that guy, okay? We know he's going to be in jail for a good little bit for his things, you know. And was this really about Karen Reed? No, I think it was more about him profiting off of Karen Reed and him being able to use her name. That's why Karen Reed didn't get no money from the hoodies. But in the end of this, Karen Reed's going to be laughing. There was a point in Turtle Boy said, we'll sit back and laugh at this, and I'll have a Netflix documentary. I think he kind of misspoke. I think Karen Reed may sit back and laugh at into all this, and she may end up having a Netflix documentary. Because, one, she already got some money, you know, and you're going to be in jail while they're shooting it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if that's going to work out quite as well for Turtle Boy. But Karen Reed, I do honestly believe that she is going to get away with it. Dolly, congratulations. Over 30K. I called it 2 weeks ago. So proud of you. I missed y'all for a week or so out of town. So proud to be a part of the gang. Bless Mom from Texas. It's good to see you. And thank you for your super chats, guys. Big hugs to you. Big hugs to Short Legs for the donation. You guys are awesome. So, hard conviction in the Karen Reed case. This is truly what I believe. Now, is there all this corruption going on? And what is going to come out in the investigation? See, they're all hyped up about this investigation, but what if this investigation comes back that everything was on the up and up? Do you think the Karen Reed supporters would be so gung-ho about this investigation, or they'd be like, oh, that was a bullshit investigation, that they're just as corrupt as the police? Right? Because there's always an investigation when a cop gets killed, you know? So we'll see. We'll see. I truly believe that, like I said, they don't have enough to convict her.
There will be a search for the truth inside that courthouse in Dedham, Massachusetts, where Sacco and Vanzetti were tried, and now where Karen Reed will be tried. But it'll be a search for the truth not only of what happened to Boston officer John O'Keefe, but also a search for the truth of how this case was handled by the investigators. And today, another big hearing, and we heard something that I think for the first time, like we heard little bits and pieces about this federal investigation, but I want you to take a listen to David Yannetti, who is, you'll hear his voice. He wasn't in the courtroom, but was appearing via Zoom in this hearing in the Karen Reed case, and gave the world, the judge and the rest of the world, an update on that federal investigation of the investigators. Take a listen.
On that score, something very important has come to light just yesterday that directly bears on this issue. The Norfolk DA's office and the Karen Reed defense team participated in a conference call yesterday with a representative from the U.S. Attorney's Office. The U.S. Attorney confirmed during that conference call, confirmed for both parties, that not only has there been a federal investigation of this case, but it is ongoing. It's not over.
Okay, but what's the big deal about that? I mean, we knew they've been saying, all the little turtles over there been screaming, oh, they're doing a federal investigation, but what does that really detail? What if the federal investigation comes back that there's no wrongdoing? Look, they have these internal investigations all the time, and sometimes they find some corruption, hardly ever, okay? But for the most part, they go, oh, yeah, we're investigating it, and then it comes back, and they go, oh, well, there's no wrongdoing by the police. How many times have we heard that? 1,000,000 times. 1,000,000 trillion times. Okay, so that don't mean there's no... Then again, it could come back that these cops have been doing crooked stuff and they have been investigating these police for a while. But I think it's just routine. We're investigating. It's an act. We're investigating. We're watching. Make sure y'all do everything right. And then in the end, they're going to say, nothing. We didn't find nothing.
Continues. The DA had this confirmed for them just yesterday, right from the horse's mouth.
The investigation is taking place now. As Karen Reed is getting ready for trial on these murder charges, the feds are taking a look at the people who investigated the case and gathered the evidence that will be used against Karen Reed. This doesn't happen, folks. This is extremely unusual. Let's bring in Court TV crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson, who is outside the Norfolk County Superior Courthouse in Dedham, Massachusetts, not covering Sacco and Vanzetti, but covering the Karen Reed case tonight. And this, when I heard this, Matt, I was like, this investigation is ongoing?
Well, the investigation, if they're going to end up removing, let's say they remove the prosecutor or whatever it is and put another one in place, the trial is still the same thing. It's still the same thing. To me, if they come out and say that there is something wrong with the investigation, of course, 100% without a doubt, Karen Reed is going to walk. I believe she's going to walk no matter what. Okay? I look at a rich white woman, right? That they don't have much evidence against. It sounds like she's walking to me with a powerful lawyer. Sounds like she's walking.
How did this play inside the courtroom today relative to some of the things that they were arguing about?
Vinny, good evening to you. You could hear a pin drop in that Dedham, Massachusetts courtroom behind me. I mean, this is something that you've heard rumblings of, but when Yannetti actually said that there is an investigation that was confirmed yesterday during a phone call with the DA's office and also the U.S. Attorney's Office, well, it was just a complete bombshell in that room when he said also that it's ongoing. And at this point in time of the hearing, we were talking about the letters that the defense wants released, communication between the DA's office, the U.S. Attorney's Office, and the DOJ. Here's a little bit more about that.
Immediately after our last court appearance, as I promised when I last addressed this court, we filed a motion for sanctions against District Attorney Morrissey including a request that his office be disqualified from continuing to prosecute this case. I expect that motion will be heard on our next court date.
Like, even if he steps down, all they're going to do is bring in another special prosecutor.
And I ask this court to consider what that hearing will look like. That hearing will prominently feature the contents of all of the 8 letters that are at issue here today. The specific content of those letters is one of the grounds that gave rise to our motion for sanctions in the first place. In fact, our motion for sanctions liberally quotes from those letters. And I assume that that is the reason that our motion for sanctions is currently impounded by this court as well. But it is
To me, Karen Reed does got those crazy eyes, though. I don't care what anybody says. She got some crazy eyes. The kind of the look she gives sometimes. That don't mean she's guilty. I mean, she just got them looks. She got that look like a little bit of a crazy woman.
clear from those letters that District Attorney Morrissey is well aware that he's the target of a federal investigation as a result of his conduct in this case. Those letters prove that he knew that, even before the U.S. Attorney ever confirmed that there even was an investigation.
Drivers in Virginia.
I mean, you have a dude out there screaming on the internet, "You're under federal investigation. You're under," you know, you're hearing all that stuff. So there was rumors he was under federal investigation before they came out and confirmed that it was ongoing.
Are ditching their car insurance and doing this instead.
And those motions for sanctions and for the removal of the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office, that's going to be discussed at a later date. We'll talk about that. But after these statements were made in court, Court TV got a statement from the DA's office saying that, wait a second here, we're not under investigation. Let's put it on your screen. They said this, quote, "No part of the communication with the Office of the United States Attorney yesterday or at any point has indicated that the Norfolk County District Attorney or any member of this office is the target of a federal investigation." Mr. Yannetti misrepresented that completely. The defense told the court that the feds plan to release part of their investigation into this case.
Okay.
Maybe with some...
Which one is it? He just said that, they misspoke and that they're not under federal investigation. So there's a little bit of, you're under investigation, you're not under investigation. It sounds like the DA's office saying, hey, no, they're going to release this. We're not under investigation. That he misspoke.
Discovery within the next couple weeks.
That's unbelievable that the feds are investigating the investigators, not the DA himself, according to the DA, but the police officers I guess the detectives that investigated the death of John O'Keefe. And now
okay, so they're not investigating. That's what I was trying to tell you to look on Twitter for. Oh, I know. I seen the post that he said to, okay, I don't want to get into that yet. Anyway, I'm going to get through this. But they're investigating the police officers, not the DA. So
the results of their investigation will be released to the DA and released to the defense. So if they come up with something, if the U.S. Attorney's Office digs some stuff up, now the defense, Karen Reed's defense, will be able to use that in their case. This is unreal, man. This is unreal what's taking place up there in Denver.
It's unreal, and we still don't know the exact nature of the letters. They haven't been released. The judge actually had to get the letters from prosecutors, the Commonwealth, and read them. She said, I'm not going to admit a couple of these into evidence, but I will take the other ones and make a ruling at a later time as to whether or not she's going to release them.
Wow, wow, wow. Okay, now let's talk about Boston Magazine. There was an attorney representing Boston Magazine who apparently did an article about this case. What was talked about today in court?
Right, so that was another big part of today. And actually, Karen Reed's defense didn't even weigh in. This was basically an argument between Boston Magazine, their media representative, and then also the Commonwealth. They want all access to Gretchen Voss's interview with Karen Reed that she did for Boston Magazine last year. She interviewed her several times, one off the record and then on the record twice. And it was for an article called The Karen Reed Case in Canton, the killing that tore a town apart. The state has made a case that they want all of the reporter notebooks, any recording, anything connected to Karen Reed, because they say in the state of Massachusetts, the Commonwealth, there is no reporter privilege here. However, the media attorney that spoke on behalf of Voss was saying, yes, there is privilege here. And also, she has been harassed ever since that story was published. Take a listen.
There are really three documents at issue, two recorded interviews, one 4 hours long, another one 2 hours long, that are largely, almost entirely, on the record, were interviews with Ms. Reed in the presence of her counsel.
Okay, you say almost entirely on the record. Could you explain that, please?
I'm sorry. There are a few interjections by counsel, and there are also a few areas where counsel asked, or Ms. Reed asked, that certain information be kept off the record.
I'm buffering. It might be your internet. I think my internet's working pretty good there, Granny Bassmaster. Hey guys, if you're just tuning in, make sure you smash that like button. There's like 450 of you here with us. So make sure if you're just tuning in, hit that like button. We're going over some of the stuff in the Karen Reed case, federal investigation into the officers. It sounds like that have been that overseen the Karen Reed investigation. So if it comes back that these officers are doing something bad, Karen Reed, of course, is going to walk.
Okay.
So if those were to be produced, we would ask for the opportunity to redact those.
Okay, I understand that. What's the third or the second category, the third records?
The third is an interview with Karen Reed alone at her home between Gretchen Voss and Karen Reed that was not recorded, for which there are handwritten notes. And that interview is entirely off the record, subject to the parties agreeing to put anything on the record afterwards if they wanted to, but they did not. And no statements of Ms. Reed from that interview appear in the article.
Okay.
There's also a fourth category, Your Honor, that just I became aware of last night, which is that there are a limited number of voicemails and texts between the reporter and Ms. Reed that were also considered to be off the record unless otherwise agreed. First, that the Commonwealth's request is unreasonable under Rule 17A2,
Okay.
because it really is just a fishing expedition. The second is that the documents in question are privileged under the common law privilege that permits a reporter under certain circumstances not to turn over unpublished notes and outtakes, and that's especially so if they're confidential. We are not, to be clear, opposing disclosure of those two interview audio tapes.
Okay.
Counsel was present, subject just to the redactions that I previously mentioned. And the third point I want to make is that this case really differs from many others dealing with the reporter's privilege due to the degree of harassment that this reporter has already experienced due to her objective coverage of this.
Now, I don't know what Karen Reed said in her. Honestly, I don't. I haven't seen it. I'm going to have to go back and see what this lady published on Karen Reed to see what the big deal is about this
case.
Most people have no clue that in 2023, the best way to make money on Amazon is not.
The source itself is not confidential. So we're not talking about a confidential source. We're talking about potentially confidential information. But notably, what's cited to our federal cases because there is no reporter privilege in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. It doesn't exist. What I would submit based on the Commonwealth's motion in submissions that there's not even a hint or a scintilla of a hint of bad faith or harassment by the Commonwealth, nor is this a fishing expedition. To cull through a vast array of irrelevant information. What we're looking for is statements of the defendant. Not asking for statements of the defendant's attorneys or anyone else. Not asking for the reporter's impressions or thoughts or any other things that may be contained within her notes. The statements by the defendant to this person are relevant, they're admissible, and the Commonwealth's request is specifically tailored to just those statements.
So then the media attorney goes back up to the podium and he says there is precedent, there is case law in the state of Massachusetts. So the judge has asked him to provide that within the next 2 weeks, and then she's going to make a decision on all of this. In the meantime, all of the media, we are over in a section, roped off section of this particular courtroom, and I'm seated next to Ms. Voss, and I can look over at her, and you know, she had no comment, but she was leaning in and taking deep breaths when they were talking about the harassment to her and her family. She has kids.
So why would the DA be harassing her, just trying to get her notes of what Karen Reed told her? Like I said, I don't know what Karen Reed told her. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that later tonight. I'll have to put that on my homework list of what's going on with what's so important about these messages that she gave to this lady, or what she may have said to this lady. I don't know. It's turned into a little bit of a shit show at this point. Like,
well, this case, I mean, every time we do this case, whether, you know, through social media, you're going to get messages from either side, both sides, however the whole thing plays out. So I can understand, and I can see that absolutely happening here. So let's talk about the scene at the courthouse today. It's cold up there. Karen Reed was appearing via Zoom, as was her attorney. So what was it like?
Right. So first, we have to kind of compare it almost to the last time that we were here about a week and a half ago from the last hearing. And there was more than 100 people that were in front of the courthouse over here on the steps behind me.
The FBI don't investigate an investigation for nothing. I don't know, just Debbie. You know, sometimes they investigate and don't find nothing. You know, I had them investigate me and didn't find nothing. So, but they still came and they still did their job. You know what I'm saying? It just wasn't nothing to lock my ass up for.
Me holding all those signs. Here's what it looked like today. There was about a dozen or so people here, supporters, and I was asking each and every one. I went up to them and I was like, you know, you knew that Karen Reed wasn't.
Why didn't they just get on Zoom and hold their signs in the heat? Okay. Stand in the heat and hold their virtual signs, free Karen Reed signs.
Going to be here. She was appearing via Zoom. One of her attorneys is out in California.
Where's the justice for John O'Keefe signs at? I see a whole bunch of free Karen Reed. Nobody give a shit about John O'Keefe.
Covering a trial of his own out there. And yet you still decided to stand out here in something like 14-degree temperature and hold your sign. Why was that important? And here's what they said.
It's important for us to show up, just to show our support. And even though Karen's not going to be in the courthouse today, this group of people is committed to.
They're committed to the Kool-Aid. Okay, you're committed to the Kool-Aid. The Kool-Aid probably cold, 14-degree temperatures. You know what I'm saying? They ain't just drink the Kool-Aid. They drink the cold ass Kool-Aid. You could have stayed home today, bro. You could have hit the important date. You know, you could have stayed warm, spent your day doing something else. You know. Y'all done got all them free Karen Reed hoodies on where that money done went to Turtle Boy.
Finding innocence for Karen Reed. We all know that she did not commit a crime, and the tyranny that's going on in Norfolk County, along with the district attorney's office, the Canton Police, the Massachusetts State Police, is it's an injustice, and we are not going to give up until Karen is free and we find the people who killed John O'Keefe.
So
okay, so even when they free Karen Reed, they're gonna still be acting crazy. Is that basically what he said? Does it say they let Karen Reed out tomorrow? Are these people gonna stop, or are they gonna still be protesting for? Listen, most likely Karen Reed hit John O'Keefe. I mean, let's just be honest. Most likely, I ain't saying she did. I'm just saying most likely she did. I don't think they have enough evidence to prove she did, right? I think it's going to be hard to prove she did, and she's going to walk. That don't mean she didn't do it, okay? OJ literally almost cut some people's heads off, and he walked, all right? You got to have proof. You got to have proof that she purposely did it, and I just don't think that proof is there.
Inside the courtroom, Vinny, a lot of supporters filled the gallery. They waited in line for more than an hour to wait for the courthouse doors to open. In the very front, seated pretty close to me, was 2 rows for John O'Keefe's family and friends. They didn't have anything to say after the hearing today, but of course we extend our invitation for them to talk about John, which is what the protesters and other people say that this case is about, right? Justice for John.
You know, it's amazing. You've got more people showing up from the public at pretrial hearings here in Dedham, Massachusetts, than were showing up for the first week of Johnny Depp's.
Yeah, the 3 people that died in frozen bodies in Kansas City. Yeah, I heard about that. Me and PJ were talking about that earlier. Maybe when me and PJ come back later tonight, because me and PJ is going to go live with y'all later tonight for a little bit, we will probably talk about the 3 people in Kansas City. Okay? So stay tuned for that.
Trial in Virginia. It's unreal. It's unreal at this stage of everything happening, the amount of people who are focused on this case and interested in the outcome. All right, so what's next now, Matt?
Okay, so we have another couple pre-trial hearings. The next one is slated for February 15th. And at that time, we know that they are going to be talking about maybe following up with some of the motions that they...
I will be, what's that the one PJ, is that the one I'm going to be at? The February 15th one? No. I thought it wasn't February 15th. I thought it was March 12th.
They discussed today, maybe the media order. And then also a motion to dismiss the case. That's pretty standard. And they will also be discussing a motion to disqualify and sanction the district attorney. So we could hear more about that federal investigation, according to the defense and what was said yesterday.
Big decisions, big case. We are rolling towards that trial. Matt Johnson in Dedham tonight. Make sure you warm up. Appreciate it tonight, Matt. Thanks so much.
You arm your company with the most powerful server hardware you can, but now you can achieve 125 times.
The Commonwealth is moving for a protective order for these letters after revealing part of what they contain. The Commonwealth wants to keep the remainder of the letters hidden because the letters contain information that will embarrass District Attorney Morrissey and his office. The letters demonstrate that he's a target of a federal investigation for what his office has done to Karen Reed.
That's Karen Reed with her attorney appearing via Zoom today. In her case, she's been accused of murdering her boyfriend, John O'Keefe, a Boston police officer. She says, no, wasn't me. I didn't do it. I didn't run him over with my car. Something happened at the party I was dropping him off at, the late night after hours party involving some police officers, and something happened there. They're the ones that did it, wasn't me. Now, what's happening is that there apparently is an ongoing investigation by the feds of this investigation. And there's some letters that were written back and forth between the federal U.S. attorney and the DA who is prosecuting this case. Take a look. Boston 25 News. This is from last December. 25 Investigates has learned that the Norfolk County District Attorney Michael Morrissey sent a letter to the Department of Justice requesting that the federal probe of the Karen Reed case be transferred out of Massachusetts. Morrissey's letter provides the first official confirmation that the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Massachusetts is looking into the arrest and prosecution of Karen Reed. And today we learned that that investigation is in fact ongoing. Joining me tonight from Jacksonville, Florida, retired FBI Special Agent Jennifer Coffendorfer, and in New York City, attorney and host of...
Okay, Jennifer Coffendorfer. And guys, we are going to have Jennifer Coffendorfer on the show here coming up soon. So stay tuned for that. Once I get the confirmed date from her, I'll let you guys know.
Of Attorney Melanie Little podcast, Melanie Little. And joining us in Boston, Massachusetts, via phone, criminal defense attorney and author of the books, Super Predators and Law and the Tough on Crime Myth, Peter Ellikin is with us. Okay, Jennifer Coffendorfer, let me ask you, former FBI Special Agent, There's a federal investigation. That means the FBI is investigating the investigators here. We learned today it's ongoing. Your thoughts about that? What is the nature of this? And are you surprised that the investigation is ongoing?
So this investigation, again, was started some time ago under Rachel Rollins, the prior U.S. attorney. That's very important, I think, as she had to leave her office under allegations of her own. So that is when this file was opened. Whenever there's a public corruption matter opened, and in this case, it was Mr. Morrissey's office. Now, Mr. Morrissey is in charge of overseeing these sorts of investigations. His investigative body is the state police. So, of course, whatever he has had his hands in terms of investigations, including this investigation, which was riddled with allegations of impropriety, the FBI is going to step in and do a full and thorough investigation.
So we have an investigation within an investigation here, Melanie. And what we learned also today in court, apparently, is that the feds will reveal their findings to both sides. It's sort of an ongoing thing.
So that's coming up here soon, I guess, that they're going to reveal, the feds are going to say whatever they found. And most likely, I can tell you, they're going to be like, we didn't find anything. Everything looks on the up and up.
I've never seen or heard of this before. Your thoughts?
You know, I've been doing this for 30 years, Vinny, and I've never seen this happen either. This is very, very rare. It rarely happens. I mean, what Yannetti said in court today is that they had a conference call with both sides yesterday with the U.S. Attorney's Office. And the U.S. Attorney's Office is going through the almost unheard of process to turn over pieces of their investigation that relate to this case, to both sides of Karen Read's case, because in his words, he said that in good conscience, they could not allow them to try the Karen Read case. What does that indicate to you?
Yeah. Peter Elkin, what's going on here? You're in Boston. Is this local politics or is this something else?
No, this is, I mean, people make complaints about, police and prosecutors all the time. But the fact that the U.S. Attorney's Office has been doing a serious investigation of this and actually bringing in a grand jury, they're obviously onto something here. And the idea that we've heard the accusation, well, this got started with Rachel Rollins, the former U.S. Attorney. There's no evidence of that. There's no proof of that. However, it's now been under the auspices of the new U.S. Attorney, Josh Levy, and there's been no allegations of him being corrupt or anything, and he's been conducting this for months. So this seems like a real bona fide investigation, and this is extremely rare. They would not be doing this unless they really had some a great deal of evidence to start out with, and then you start calling in grand juries.
Okay.
Okay, so they're thinking there may be some corruption. I don't know. We're gonna find out.
So now, how does this affect, or what does this mean about what happened to John O'Keefe? Jennifer.
Well, if, and that's a big if, they have investigative findings that show some sort of corruption, it could affect that. But the bottom line is, I look at facts and have read the entirety of the court filings. And I can tell you the facts are strong that indeed Karen Read dropped off Officer O'Keefe and ran him over. And that is just what the evidence shows. And so if the corruption existed, I would like to know what specifically that had to do with those sets of facts.
Yeah, let's just say you got corrupt cops, right? But they didn't do nothing in this case. Let me see how I want to word this. If they're investigating a cop, say they got a lead on a cop, they're investigating a cop, in this, if he's done illegal stuff, Karen Read's going to end up walking. Okay, because they're going to say everything they did in her case is illegal, and she's going to end up getting off of this on some corrupt cop. It don't even take but one corrupt cop. Just say one cop did something they wasn't supposed to do, and they can bring that out. Karen Read's walking. I thought she was going to walk anyway. I just thought, hey, she got a powerful attorney. She ain't broke. There's no real good solid evidence against her except for the taillight pieces that be in there. But like I said, there's other ways that could get at a crime scene. There's doubt in it, right? In a lot of cases, there's no doubt. This one has a little bit of doubt. Like you watch the Turtle Boy stuff, there's no doubt he's an idiot, right? You see what he did. You can watch him do it. You know he's guilty of it. But this case, Karen Reed, you don't get to watch that. You don't get to see what happened. You got to just go off of what people are saying. And there's doubt in it. There's always a possibility he could have slipped and fell or I don't, even the possibility that the police could have killed him. But I know that didn't happen. The police didn't kill this man. The police just did a shitty job investigating it because they didn't really investigate it because they probably just looked at it like Karen Reed did it and they didn't look for any other culprit. Okay, because other people were police and they ain't going to look into the police. And I ain't saying that the police did it. I'm just saying they were treated differently. I agree with all the people that, say that, hey, if it would have been me or you, they'd have been up in the house. I agree. They would have been up in my shit. So they did handle it a little messed up. That may help Karen Reed. I don't know.
What do you think, Melanie? What does this investigation of the investigators, and what does it mean about the truth of what happened to John O'Keefe?
Well, I think that nobody really knows the truth, right? Unless we were there. And I've read the entire court file too. And there are, as always, 3 sides at least to every story. But what we're seeing here is witnesses who testified in front of Karen Reed's grand jury being called now. They're being served subpoenas to come and testify in front of the federal grand jury. So much of what Jennifer is saying is based on eyewitness testimony, right? And if those same witnesses are being called to testify in front of a federal grand jury, maybe they are going to uncover that perhaps some of these people misspoke. Perhaps their statements were not accurately recorded. What I've noticed is that none of the witness statements are signed. So I think we're going to see. We're going to see if it was accurate or not accurate what these witnesses told the investigating Trooper Proctor right from the jump.
Peter Elkin, I'm always caught in this thing of, I understand the job of the criminal defense attorney. You raise reasonable doubt, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, this is very problematic for trying a case and proving it beyond a reasonable doubt. But my main concern is,
if you're off the rip saying, hey, we got some police corruption or something like that, or in the middle of this that you're saying that you're investigating it, maybe there is a little bit of something going on. I don't think she's been framed, but I think they're not probably doing their job the way they should be done. It should be done. And like I said, because they did that because they were police. If it had been anybody else, they would have probably handled this differently. And like I said, to me, there's no way to prove that Karen Reed did this purposely, or if she did it accidentally, or shit, some would say if she even did it. I think she did it. Of course, it's the most likely scenario that she backed into him. He fell, blah, blah, blah. But can you convict somebody on that and put them in prison for the rest of their life on they might have done it? Nah, I can't.
It's the truth of what happened to John O'Keefe. So explain to me from your perspective what you think this investigation will uncover. And will it uncover the truth about what happened to John O'Keefe, or will it just uncover that they weren't dotting I's and crossing T's here?
They wasn't dotting I's and crossing T's. That's what it is. It ain't that they're going to prove that anything like that. Okay. They ain't going to prove anything other than that. That's all they're doing is dotting I's and crossing T's. That's it. That's what I truly believe anyway.
Yeah, and I know the last time I was on your show, we said the same thing, that, yeah, we don't want to exactly talk about reasonable doubt. There's probably enough reasonable doubt to drive a truck through. But how about the truth? And I think ultimately the truth will come out, but perhaps it won't be until trial because, and I'll give you the reason for that, is that because we have so much evidence here with 2 sides of the story. For example, the defense says that the phone records show that he was had left the car, gone into the house, was on different floors of the house. We know that. And yet the prosecution says, no, that data is all wrong. So I think, and we haven't seen any hard data from it. Any proof.
That is true. They're saying different things about the data of the phone. But some people say if you get thrown through the air, that would pick up these steps and things they're talking about. He walked. And they have used this data in the past to convict people. So you can't say, hey, this data is wrong when you use it. You know, like, I don't know. We're going to see that come out. Some of this data come out. But the state's saying he never went in the house. Of course, they're going to say that. And the defense is going to say he did. That's just part of the whole legal stuff. But I think whatever else they got, yeah, we might not find out until like the trial, like he's saying.
Proof or whatever, and the discovery's been slow. Ultimately, maybe it's going to be a battle of the experts that will come out which side is correct. We also heard that one of the people inside the house at 2:27 a.m., 3.5 hours before the body was found, was Googling how long does it take a
Peter, you have
to die
done
in
it
the cold.
again. You have teed up our next segment. We have to take a break right now, but exactly what Peter is talking about, this alleged Google search.
Okay, well, that Google search, that's been explained. Okay, there's an expert that came up here, did a whole blog on the Google search and showed himself that when you open a tab, it'll say one time you could search something, it'll still have the time from that tab. So there's going to be experts that are going to be able to walk in there and eat that up. They've got examples of it. They show you how they did it, you know, how it works, how it operates. I even read that. I spent like an hour reading that shit. So that's going to be an easy one to explain, I think.
The supporters of Karen Reed really saying, this is it. This is what proves not that she didn't do it, that she is actually innocent and someone else did it. We'll talk about it.
Kayak. No way. Why would I use kayak to compare hundreds of travel?
Said it feels we're the only ones fighting for the truth of what happened to John O'Keefe. And me and my family and my attorney.
Why did she call her boyfriend John O'Keefe? That was so distant, I think. Does anybody find that odd? We need to, you know, we got to find out what happened to John O'Keefe. Why didn't she say we need to find out what happened to my love? I loved him so much. We got to find what happened to John. She just seems so cold and not caring that, I mean, that don't mean she did it purposely. It just seems she just don't, like, she just seems a little distant and cold and, you know, like John O'Keefe. Who calls their boyfriend by their first and last name? Okay. It's a little odd to me. That's all I'm saying.
And my team have marshaled every resource to get to the truth. Just feels like no one else wants it.
Okay, just to be clear, you didn't do it.
We know who did it, Steve. We know. And we know who spearheaded this cover-up. You all know.
Yes, we do. And no, she didn't do it. No, she didn't do it. This is an innocent woman. She didn't do it.
I tried to save his life. I tried to save his life at 6 in the morning. I was covered in his blood. I was the only one trying to save his life.
That's Karen Reed on the courthouse steps. And she said,
the only one trying to save his life. Okay.
She didn't do it, number one, and she's the only one fighting for John O'Keefe here. Now, prosecutors would differ with that and say, we're fighting for John O'Keefe too by prosecuting you for his murder. But there's one piece of evidence that I think most would agree is the key to this entire case.
I don't agree. I don't think this is the search. They're going to go into this search conspiracy again. Like I said, there's experts that have been up here online and shown how this operates.
And really the key, the piece of evidence that the supporters of Karen Reed say, this is it. This is what proves she did not do it, that she is innocent, and it was someone inside that house that killed John O'Keefe. Here's Alan Jackson, the attorney for Karen Reed, on this show explaining that piece of evidence.
Why is Jennifer McCabe one of the parties that was inside the house?
Yeah, but see, after this came out, there was experts that came out and shown that when you open the tab, it does the search results like that. So the whole Google, how long does it take to die in the cold? I mean, they're going to hear it, of course, but they're going to be able to prove to why that could happen. I still don't believe that anybody in that house killed John O'Keefe. There's no motive to kill John O'Keefe. These people that like to be like, oh, there was this imaginary fight for this imaginary reason and all these things. There's no motive for that. There was no reason for a fight. They're drunk. So there's a lot of bars full of drunk people that the whole bars ain't fighting. Okay. There's no motive. There's no reason for them to kill John O'Keefe. And if there was, I'm assuming that a police officer come in a better place than throw the body in the front yard. Either John O'Keefe has slipped and fell and hit his head, or she's backed into him and unknowingly, or she backed into him knowingly. But there's too much doubt to convict this lady because there's all these things. They made it into that, but it's still, even if you took out the house, let's just say you take the cops completely out of it and it's just her and him, I still think it's a hard conviction because you don't know if she did it on purpose or she did it as an accident, or if he just fell in the snow. There's doubt. And if you got a jury and you got that much doubt, how are you going to convict this lady? You really ain't. So I look at her like she's getting away with it. Okay. She's going to get away with it. And then they're going to punish the blogger. The hell out of him.
That night, the sister-in-law of Brian Albert, why was she Google searching? How long does it take for a human body to die in the cold? The Apple Cocoa core data indicates, or the core time indicates exactly what time that Google search occurred. That time was at 2:27 and 40 seconds in the morning on January 29th. That's 3.5 hours before John O'Keefe's body was found.
All right, two sides to everything in this story, in this case, in this trial. Take a look at the screen. This is what the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is saying about all of that. The Commonwealth ran Miss McCabe's phone through a Cellbrite reader that was created on May 4th, 2022. The defense expert used Cellbrite Physical Analyzer, a newer updated version of the software, used it to download it. The purportedly incriminating search in question does not appear in the downloaded material using the earlier version of the software and therefore was not in the earlier extraction. The updated version of Cellbrite that was not in existence at the time of the trooper's initial download does show such a search. However, the Google search, how long to die in the cold, did not occur at 2:27
bingo
and 40 seconds a.m. Okay, let's bring back in our guests, Jennifer Koffendorfer, Melanie Little, and Peter.
Okay, that's what I was saying. It didn't happen at that time. They're saying it did, but they're going to be able to go in there and prove that this did not transpire at this time. Okay, so she wasn't in the house searching how long to take to die in the cold.
Peter Elkin is joining us by phone. Jennifer, do you agree this search is the key? Did it or did it not take place at 2:27 in the morning, 3.5 hours before John O'Keefe's body was discovered?
No, it didn't take place then. That is when her Safari was open. It copied to a WAL file. And at that point, the other searches that were...
And it tabbed it. See, that's how it works. When you open that tab, like if you got a smartphone and because I never close my tabs, there'll be like 50 tabs open. So when you open that tab, it's tracking the time that you open that tab. That's exactly the way the expert explained it that I seen on the internet in the blog. And he what he was doing was he was texting himself so you could see that the times were coming up wrong. So it can happen. So I mean, I'm sure they're going to hear that, but I don't think that proves that the police did it. You see, that's
made after that all have that timestamp. She made that search after she and the Jen McCabe and Karen Reed and the other
had found him, and they wanted to know if he was going to be okay. So she searched it.
Occupant arrived, and Karen Reed was screaming, "Oh my gosh!" because they just found him. How long does it take someone? Google it, Google it. And then that is when Jen McCabe went in and did that, and that's what the evidence I believe will show. Furthermore, Vinny, just from a common sense standpoint, they're alleging that all of these people in this house, an ATF agent, a decorated police officer, a 17-year-old, a dog, and several women beat this man to death and threw him on the front lawn. Why would you even Google that. You would have thought he's dead. He's got a busted cranium at that point. So it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I agree with that. If they beat him to death in the house, or maybe they didn't know they beat him to death too. You could take that in there. They don't know he's dead. They just whip his ass, throw him outside. Oh, he'll figure it out, and then he lays there and dies. But if that was the case, there'd be a blood trail leading from the house, because his wounds, he cracked his skull. He had a gash over his eye. He had a bloody head from where he cracked the skull open. There would have been a blood trail, and there was snow on the ground. So it ain't like you could, what did they wash it off? They didn't wash the blood away. There would have been a trail leading from that house to where he died at. So if they carried him, he'd still be dripping blood. All right. He wasn't dead. So that means his blood was pumping. He would have been leaking blood with those type of cuts, but there's no blood trail to the house. Now, we don't know what, like the people that support Karen Reed, we don't know what happened in that house because we didn't go in it and the police didn't go in it. That's where I would say that the investigation is a little bit flawed. That's where they got treated different. I agree with everybody that says they were treated different. I'm like, yeah, they would have came in my house. They would have been dead. Anybody dead in my front yard. It's a damn dead dog out front. They'd have the dog catchers up here, police, all kinds of shit in my crib. So yeah, it was handled a little bit differently because it is the police, and that may come back to where it bites them in the ass. And either way, even without that in play, I still think there's not enough to convict Karen Reed on. There's too many little pieces of doubt that you could throw out there. And I mean, I still think she did it. Don't get me wrong. I don't know if it's accident or on purpose, whatever it may be. I still think she is responsible for it. I just don't think there's no way in hell they're going to convict this lady at this point of this, especially with them screaming police corruption, with them investigating the DA and the police, why it's going on. Yeah, she's not getting convicted of, what is it, second-degree murder? No way in hell. She's going to end up walking.
Other scenario makes sense.
Melody Little, your thoughts about this Google search?
So many thoughts. Well, first of all, the defense obviously has an expert who completely disagrees with those findings and says that that search was absolutely made at 2:27 a.m. Not only was it made at 2:27 a.m., but then that search was actually deleted from Jen McCabe's phone before she turned over her phone to law enforcement 4 days later. She also made two other searches around 6:24, 6:27 a.m. in which she tried to spell it the same way, because the first time that she Googled it, she spelled how, H-O-S. So it was really Haas long to die in cold. But then she made two more searches after 6 a.m. around the time that the body was found.
Okay, but why would she make one earlier that night and then make one that morning, lady? That's where you don't make sense. Okay, so she's saying, well, she made one that night, okay? And then that morning around that time, she spelled it wrong and searched it again. If she had already searched it that night, why would she need to search it again, genius? Okay. Is this lady's an attorney? Is that what she said she was, an attorney? Why would she be searching at 6 in the morning if she searched at 2:30 in the morning? Why would she have to search it again and spell it wrong? If she already knew how long it takes to die in the cold, why would she be searching it again? So you're telling me that she was in the house searching how long it takes in the cold. Then she gets with Karen Reed, and then she has to search it again. Why didn't she just look over at Karen Reed and say, hey, it takes 4 hours or 3 hours? She done searched it. She done searched it. She would have knew the answer according to you that she did it. Why would she need to know the answer again at 6 o'clock in the morning if she already knew the answer at 2:30? I'm not hiring this lady as a fucking attorney. Okay, I'm hiring you as an attorney. I know that shit right off the rip. We're like, no, lady, I ain't hiring you. I ain't doing it. I ain't doing it. Right? Make it make sense to me, lady. Make it make sense to me. If you're saying she searched it at 2:30 in the morning, right? Whatever fucking time at 2 something in the morning, and she got the information at 6 something, she searches again, spells it wrong, has to search it again. Why is she searching it twice? She was getting her alibi. She was trying to cover her tracks. Okay, I see people saying that. Okay, all right. I mean, people say anything. I don't know. That don't make a whole lot of damn sense to me. Why would she? If he wasn't dead, here's what I understand. He wasn't pronounced dead till he got to the hospital. What tracks were they to cover at 6 a.m, people? I mean, I ain't no attorney, but make it make sense to me. What tracks were there to be to cover? He wasn't dead yet. He wasn't dead. He was pronounced dead at the hospital. He was on life support. Okay. He wasn't dead. He was alive when they took him. I mean, he was fading. Don't get me wrong. He was on his way out, but he wasn't dead there. There was nothing to cover up. So she came out to cover an alibi to search for a man that wasn't dead. What if he would have lived? Like, how would she have known? It don't make a lot of sense to me.
Number two, with regard to the people that were in the house, first they were alleging that the 17-year-old was never in the house and his name was never brought up and he was never interviewed until approximately 18 months after this tragic incident of Officer John O'Keefe. And so now they're saying that he was in the house. So I'm a little bit confused. Was he there? Was he not there? There are so many questions here. And I also think that if we're going to use common sense,
what does it matter if I was there? You know what I'm saying? What was it? What would it matter? That he still don't have an alibi. I mean, a reason, a motive to attack John O'Keefe. If he was there, if he won't there. I mean, I don't understand why they would lie about who's there unless they just didn't want to involve the guy because he was a minor. But they don't, like, there's still no motive to hurt John O'Keefe. The only person that mad at John O'Keefe that night was Karen Reed. Okay. They have those messages where she told him she hated him. Let's don't forget that. Okay. She did tell a man she hated him. The kids said they were fighting, you know, and I think maybe that's why they upped the charges when they seen that message that said, hey, you know, I hate your ass. That's pretty harsh to say to somebody. And then, you know, you see her out here motionless and she kind of, who calls their boyfriend John O'Keefe? Okay. That's like me calling PJ by her whole name when she comes over today. I can't even say her last name. So we ain't got to worry about that. Okay. But who does that?
The other piece of common sense. Would Karen Reed, in her horror of finding her boyfriend dead on the front lawn of Officer Brian Albert, yell to her friend, Google how long it takes to die of hypothermia? I think that defies logic.
Peter Elkin, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm kind of going to second what I just heard.
True Texan. Dolly, where is that Upchurch hat? Just asking. Are you talking about the cricket one or are you talking about the orange one? The cricket one is sitting on my couch in there on the thing. Both of them, matter of fact, are on my couch and they're both the Upchurch hats. So that is where the Upchurch hat is. Okay. Sitting on my couch. How many women have gotten mad at you and said they hate you when they love you, especially drinking? A lot. Okay. Now I ain't saying, listen, I don't know if Karen Reed did it purposely. I said I couldn't convict the lady. If I was a jury member and they gave me this case that they got right here, I would not convict Karen Reed. Okay. I wouldn't. There's just too many possibilities. Okay. That I truly believe she's done it and they've overcharged her. They just way overcharged her. Like this should have been no more than, if they would have hit her with just manslaughter, right? That she accidentally possibly did it. That would be an easier fight. But they're saying she murdered this man purposely. She fucking boop, boop. You know what I'm saying? That is a hard sell. I truly believe the police had no motive to kill this man. If they did, they would have did a better job covering it up. That's just common sense. Anybody with a little bit of common sense would know that. But there are people that are idiots. Okay. There's people out here that simp and that are really bad representatives of Karen Reed, of what's going on with Karen Reed. They're fucking idiots. If you look at their backgrounds, all of them were just monsters themselves. And this lady got these people out here making her look bad. At first, they were helping her, I think, but now it's just totally made her case look bad. So I don't know. We're gonna find out here soon, and you know, this is one of those cases that we're gonna come to a conclusion here in just a few months.
That it does seem really odd. You just found a dead body on your lawn, and the thing is, then you rush to go to Google. And I'm out of curiosity. How long did it take? That just defies common sense. Again, I think the experts are going to hash this out. The defense experts clearly say that was a 227. And then why would she have deleted that after she put it in? So I think.
What does it matter? She might have also deleted pictures of her titties before she turned that over to the police. You know, you got to get your nudes out the phone, right? What if her titty pictures were still in there? She probably went through there and deleted all kind of shit for the police. She handed her phone to the police. Okay. She probably like, let me, I don't want my husband to find this. You know, she probably got rid of a lot of shit. It's explainable why people would delete stuff. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think why would she search again at 6 o'clock in the morning? Okay. Why would she search again at 6 o'clock in the morning? It wouldn't make sense. She already knew the answer. People were like to cover it up, but there wasn't nothing to cover up yet. John O'Keefe wasn't dead yet. So I don't know. I think Karen Reed, like I said, will walk when this is all said and done. And I will be there. Dolly will be in Boston for that to go down. So now if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I think that's what's going to happen. I don't think it's that important to them to put her away, especially with just a little bit of evidence. Like, is that tail light piece enough to get her put away? Because that's basically what it comes down to. The tail light piece. Is that enough? Would you put a lady in prison for the rest of her life over a tail light piece? I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if I could honestly do it.
That it is, ultimately it's going to come down to experts, and we may find the ultimate actual answer. But right now, I don't think that the prosecution has really given enough hard data on it that would convince anybody at this point. And this would be, as we say, this really could be absolutely damning evidence that she would do that. And I don't think this idea that was just brought up about, well, why would all these people in the house have done that? I mean, certainly friends, if an incident happens among friends, it's not some incredibly sophisticated conspiracy. Everybody just kind of covers up for each other and says, yeah, we're going to deny it happened.
Now, everybody don't do that. That's a defense attorney talking. You can tell he's a defense attorney. Everybody does not do that. If a crime happens around me, I ain't got shit to do with that. Y'all ain't pinning me to no shit. You ain't making me accomplice the murder. You know, you're not doing that. That ain't how normal people operate. They don't just be like, all right, I ain't going to say nothing either. Hell nah, don't kill nobody around me because I'm telling on you. I'm telling you straight off the rip. You ain't getting me put in prison. You ain't going to do nothing like that around me and act like I ain't talking. Nah, I ain't no killer. And I don't think the women in that house are killers either. So I don't see that happening like that.
There are two sides, obviously, to this story. A battle of the experts inside a court. We see battle of the experts all the time. To me, this doesn't sound like it's an area that it should be a battle, right? Are we interpreting the what is being downloaded from the phone? We're interpreting that, or is, I mean, to me, it does. This is an area that should be a little more black and white. I'm just surprised. I'm surprised that this is going to be a battle of experts. So I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see on that. There was one other issue about what this data is going to say. Is there going to be evidence that whoever had the phone is walking around or not walking around? Jennifer, your thoughts on that area? that it seems that this Apple Health data will be very significant here. And that may be, I think, more up to interpretation than like a timestamp.
Well, the Apple Health data is not going to be as reliable as the digital forensics from his phone. And that forensics is going to show that no, there were no steps taken or anything else. It's going to be that it was there and underneath them as was.
Now, if they prove he didn't go in that house, that shuts down, you know, a lot of these conspiracy people. What's your opinion on that video they just played? Do you think she actually hit the car when she backed up? I do think she tapped the car. Did she hit the car hard enough to break a taillight? I don't know. Possibly. Okay. That's what I'm saying. That you would have to convict this lady pretty much on that piece of taillight, right? Because she had cracked it at the house and it fell off at John O'Keefe. I mean, that's a possibility too, that she broke it one place and it ended up in another place because she's moving with the vehicle. It could fall off any fucking where. So I always, it'll be a hard conviction just off that taillight piece. I think you're going to need a little more to prove that she purposely killed somebody than just some pieces of the taillight for me. Now, do I think she did it? 100. But we live in a world where you have to prove things. Okay. You have to prove it without a shadow of a doubt. You have to prove she did this. And I don't think there is any way to prove she did it. So we're going to find out. I'm going to be there when it happens. So if she walks, I'll be there for it. You'll see all the free Karen Reed people go absolutely crazy, I'm sure. I just feel like, you know, people are screaming justice for John O'Keefe. I don't think John O'Keefe is going to get justice. To be dead honest. Whatever happened that night, we won't never know if it was on purpose or accident. But some tragedy took place that night, and it cost this poor officer his life. I don't know if we'll get justice for John O'Keefe, but just, you know, rest in peace, John O'Keefe, man. You know, there's no real way to say what really happened to you. It kind of sucks. Wrong place, wrong time. But either way, if she did do it or if she didn't do it, it was definitely John O'Keefe's time to go. When the Lord calls you, the Lord calls you. How you go, it really don't matter. The point is, it's your time to go. So, unless you're murdered, then maybe that's snuffed out. But I believe everything is written in the book of life. And when it's your time, it's your time. So, rest in peace, John O'Keefe. And I don't think there'll be real justice served in this. I believe, like I said, Karen Reed's going to walk. The guy, Turtle Boy, though, he got himself in a world of trouble. I don't even think he realizes what's coming for him. He's in a world of trouble. I mean, people try to think he ain't, but I hate to tell you, he's in a world of trouble. All right, guys, I'll be back later tonight. Me and PJ's going to be up here talking about the 3 people that died in Kansas. And I'll see y'all then. Be good. Don't forget to like the video. Replay crew, tell me what you think. Will there ever be justice for John O'Keefe? Or are we just going to settle with, like, because I don't believe, like I said, Karen Reed is going to be found innocent. See, they're going to let her off. If you think she's guilty, let me know in the comment box down below. I'll see y'all soon. Peace.